I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and my special guest from earlier today is no longer with us as they have other business to attend, so I'm left alone to commentate the most interesting match of the day and the match between the two strongest teams that we've seen, Team Mexico and Team Portugal. Despite their nominal strength and big names on both lineups, both teams have not started the tournament great. In Group C, which is, I'm going to say without a doubt, the toughest group in the entire tournament, Mexico suffered a narrow defeat against Team Romania with two world champions on their roster, and Team Portugal was very convincingly rolled over by the all-master Team Ukraine. In this encounter, both teams will be desperate to get their first win, and I'm going to say the team that loses today is going to have a tough, very, very tough time qualifying for the playoffs. So the playoffs have almost effectively started for both of these teams. Normally, if I was just going to hear that Mexico is playing Portugal, I would say that Portugal is slight favorite. But the lineups today are such that I think Mexico has the edge with about 55%. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be close, but Mexico has some of its best players lined up today, and also the way the pairings have been distributed will favor the North American team. So notably that the captain of Team Portugal, the master João Margarido, is not going to be playing today. Instead, he'll be nervously watching his teammates from the sidelines. So whilst we still have a minute or two before the start of the game, let's go through the pairings. On table 1, we have Licio Campo, who currently is rated 536, but with 800 8,000 games of experience, excuse me. I don't think he is any underdog to Dizem of Portugal. This is going to be a 50-50 complete toss-up. On table 2, Marco Rivas, who finished 5th in the 2023 in-person World Championship and has 10,000 games of experience and a rating of 600, is going to be, I think, a slight underdog to Sport R. That's Ricardo Araújo, the winner of the 2020 Mindsport Olympiad. Somebody who, whilst is lower rated at the moment, has crossed the 700 rating threshold for a master a few months before that, and I believe just generally in good shape at the moment. On table 3, wait, did I mess this up? No, I don't think I messed this up. Yeah, I messed this up. Oh, Vapul is playing against Sport R. Yeah, right. So since Vapul at 27 is playing against Sport R, then the Portuguese master is definitely going to be the favorite. Vapul, whilst is an expert, he is the lowest rated player in today's lineup amongst the Mexicans. Maybe this speaks more to the strength of the Mexican team. And Marco is actually going to be playing against Mesh 377, and there Marco is going to be a slight favorite for sure. And now our table 4, the table where probably the entire duel might be decided. The team captain, the Mexican mathematician Elias Mochan, also known as Complex VNH, is going to be playing the 2023 gold medalist of the in-person Mindsports Olympiad, Guilherme Neves, with the screen name Glovier. The Portuguese player, I think, has a tad slightly higher peak rating than Elias by a few points, but overall it's a very even matchup. Maybe a slight edge for Glovier due to his current good shape, but we are going to have a blast, see a series of high scoring and high level moves. On table 5, Oscar Henny with the screen name IMD5 should be the favorite due to his high rating and experience against Diogo Antunes with the screen name Foam. But again, not a huge favorite, like 60% favorite. Anyway, a minute ago, the games have started. Hi Pichan, hi Luis. Do let me know, as usual, who do you think is going to win and who you're rooting for. And we're going to start with these guys. As usual, a reminder that Each duel is played in a best-of-3 format. So we have Carcassonne content guaranteed for the next 90 minutes or so. Glovier plays his signature yellow meeples. He's going to be the starting player. Elias, however, is the first one to get on the scoreboard with a 2-point road, but Glovier immediately responds with a 4-point city on the right. Overall, it's a very good position for yellow, but maybe not anymore. I was going to say... Wait, drawings. I need to turn the drawings. Okay, I knew that something was off with the stream, if you're just going to bear with me. So I was going to say that Red's road, which is sticking into Yellow City, is a bit complicated, but a timely dagger tile helped Elias resolve all of his problems. And let me try and now turn on the drawings now. So if he gets the straight line like this, bear with me, there we go. So if he gets a straight line like this, he actually can continue both his monastery and his road at the same time, and this is what he's probably going to be doing. And Glovier now gets himself a triangle tile and possibly the victory in this game with that. Honestly, I'm not sure if Lee is going to come back from this, because Yellow is setting up a giant city for at least 30 points, and could be even more so, could be even 32. All Yellow needs to do is get one of the 4 remaining horse tiles. 95% chance of that happening, or 94 or something like this. So Elias should really brace himself and try to get some compensation, try to score a little bit. Yeah, so he places his last meeple on the road, which is a wise choice. Then he needs to finish this, and really just brace for impact. In the meantime, Glovier, with his 3 meeples versus 0, should try to score a little bit, maybe block a meeple or 2 of Red, and overall enjoy a very good position. That's a nice move here from Yellow, trying to harass all kinds of meeples a little bit, playing against several squares at the same time. Does not quite get a continuation. Now that I think about this, maybe it was better to turn this tile that way. Didn't quite work. Road tile for Glovier. He just continues his road. Elias going to finish a huge 6-pointer and get a meeple back and get a temporary lead on the scoreboard. Glovier is going to finish one of his roads and start a new city. There isn't any point in attacking this city here on the left, because Complex could simply re-attack with a Dorito on the right and take over the city completely. So the Portuguese player is probably looking to just let this guy live. Really? Okay. A bit of a shy move from Elias, just scoring 2 points for the monastery, but that's what happens when you don't have a meeple. And look at this, Glovier's now thinking about this. He's genuinely contemplating not going over here. And the idea is that he might thinking about going over here, trying to break some cities, and then still preserve the 88% chance of getting one of the 3 remaining big tiles to fit into the square. But then there's going to be a 12% chance of him not drawing any of the remaining cow tiles at all, and he figures that it is 12% too many. Still 35 points for Glovier. He shouldn't have any problem converting this, and so much so that we might even just stop watching this game and start watching another one. You know what? No, you know what? Let me just not be so sure too quickly, because Elias is scoring a little bit. He's now making some interesting setups. For example, this here, 6-point monastery waiting to happen. Then maybe with the right sequence of tiles, with a Dorito and a big tile, and another Dorito and a city cap, something like this, Red could give Yellow a taste of his own medicine. There's still 3 cow tiles that go over here, with which Red could use to take over this medium-sized city on the left. Both players draw seemingly inconsequential road tiles. I'm going to try and make the screen a little bit better visible. So what am I having here? Glovier just getting points. Elias is restricting the monastery of his adversary. That is actually quite annoying. So there are only 3 tiles remaining that fit into this square. Glovier decides to not even bother with the upmost city. Upmost? Is that a word? No, it isn't. Topmost? Northernmost. Let's call it like this. Elias now slips up a little bit, if you ask me. I mean, that's an interesting move for sure, but then Glovier can quite easily invade. If I were Elias, I probably would be inclined to place a move like this, shouldering this meeple of yellow away. Yellow doesn't even bother finishing the city at the top. Elias finally finishes his road. And still, a 26-point advantage for the Portuguese player. An extender tile fits him in 3 places. I can really think of 3 candidate moves. This is certainly one of them. The idea is that we make it harder for Red to complete his city. I mean, Red can go over here, of course, but then Glovier can invade or block. You know what? Like, if Red goes here, then an extremely annoying move is a simple straight line over here with an insurance farmer playing against this meeple and this meeple of Red at the same time. And that is why Red is not playing this move instantly. So Red still has many needs that need to be met before he can hope for a comeback. And I'm surprised about this move from Red. It seems a tad slow. I mean, it does interesting things. It's kind of pressuring this guy a little bit, and it eliminates a monastery spot. Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about this, it's actually pretty good move. On the other hand, there's a monastery spot here for 6 points that yellow could take advantage of. Well, obviously this monastery point is under Complex's control. And a monastery can also be used over here as a farming tile. As a lucrative farming tile, actually. So I'm not sure if that was worth the tile investment. I guess Elias's plan is to finish this here city with a Dorito tile, of which there's still 2 remaining. Glovier just calmly takes 2 points. Elias gets another chance to finish, to continue his city rather. Will he go for it now? Actually, another move that he could have played, he could have done something like this on his last turn. Yeah, okay, now he goes for it, and now it could be a little bit too late. As Glovier successfully invades the city, at least temporarily prevents it from completion, Elias finishes the city, but I think with the score deficit, it wasn't the craziest idea to just go over here, hoping for the last remaining triple city tile to connect over here and get a city cap and get a 24-point city with a 2 versus 1 meeple majority. Because now, sure, Red gets a meeple back, but Glovier can just keep scoring, really. How do you make up these 24 points? You need to come up with something radical. Like, you can't keep making normal moves. Hi, Sergio. Hi, João. Just a normal move here from Glovier. But for him it makes sense because it's 1 monastery point. It's a low-risk endeavor. Elias is now developing his field a little bit. Glovier is going to finish his monastery, which is huge for him, as this monastery was kind of dangerous. Elias, with the complete setup, a very, very necessary monastery for yellow. Glovier with several interesting options. 24 points ahead, should have the game mainly in the bag. Instructive moment, by the way. Try and figure out, and pause the video if you're watching this in recording and not live, what would be a quick way for yellow to lose this game. Now, yellow, of course, makes the best move, cleans off the city cap, tries to go over here, and so on and so on. A quick way to lose the game would be to go over here and connect the 2 cities, which looks like a good move, but then it would give Glovier the option of getting a city cap and then invading over here with another Dorito and then winning this city with 2 versus 1 meeple majority for a whopping 24 points. So that's why when you're ahead, you don't make these connection moves. This here, city at the top, is just designed to stop the development of the city at the bottom. There's no need to merge the 2 cities together. Now that this triple city tile has gone out, now the city connection does not bear much risk, as even if red were to successfully invade, it's kind of hard for red to finish the city at the bottom. So how does Elias come back here? Well, maybe there's a way. Something that I'm seeing is an abundance of monasteries in the deck. And at this stage, 2 monasteries are indeed abundant, so it's something road, monastery, road, monastery, maybe sequence like this. So now the move for Elias is probably to go here and start a new city, or actually the Mexican needs to be worried about yellow finishing a city over here. Although, does he really need to be worried about this now that I think about this? Actually, maybe not. Maybe it's time to start going crazy. Like, we go here, we start a city like this, and then we get a vanilla city cap, and then we go like this and start a new city like that, and then we get a monastery, and then we get another city cap, and then we drop a farmer, and we get a city cap, and we drop a farmer, and we get another monastery, and we just... So this is something that we could be thinking about. But you have to make something happen. Glovier takes a 6-point monastery and now finishes a city at the top. Gets a meeple back. 26 points. Glovier is not getting another monastery because that's Elias. He now places his last meeple, which is fully justified. All that yellow needs to do there is just not play anything stupid. For example, this move, going for a 6-point farmer is perfectly fine. He still has an extra meeple. Or just going for this farmer is perfectly fine as well. Elias is going to get a meeple back and prolong his field a little bit. Much needed points for the Mexican. Glovier with a triangle, which could be used over here to complete this here city, and that would give 3 extra points for this guy. It's also possible to just go here, because since this is the last Dorito in the deck, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not mistaken, then there's no risk of Complex going over here and reinvading the city. So actually we can safely unify our 3-point city with a 6-point city of our opponent. Yellow still has 5 minutes on their clock. More than enough time to figure out this endgame. Also, this move is interesting, oppressing this square a little bit. Yeah, you know what, like this last move, if it were to have gone over here, that would have been an interesting combo, because he would have been able to score multiple times for this meeple, but it is what it is. So he goes for the play against this square, and now Elias desperately needs a vanilla city cap. So much so that it's not crazy for Glovier to go over here. Instead, Glovier plays just a normal move. Elias cleans the city cap in his opponent's field. Will Glovier finish his 8-point city or not? No, he does not, but he is going to get 1 point from his monastery. No vanilla city cap for Complex, who really need this vanilla city cap. What do we even do here? I have no idea. This is one of the clunkiest tiles in existence. I guess we have to go here. Just take this 5-pointer. Yeah, exactly. He knows what he's doing. Elias is actually surprised. Well, he's really good at endgames. He can figure out them really quickly, and he does indeed get the vanilla city cap tile. So just the ordering was slightly inconvenient. Elias could have scored more. with that vanilla, and a curve is now going. I mean, Elias could have scored more with the vanilla if he were to draw this earlier, and a curve for Glovier is going to spell a completely obscene score. Yeah, the game really was decided by this move. It's something that maybe could have been prevented, but hindsight is 2020. 30-point City, ouchie, ouchie. Or 26-point City, it doesn't matter. I'm not that good at counting points. Still a absolutely game decisive feature. Yeah, the thing with these medium-sized cities, even though the invasion that the Portuguese players started with this here city cap tile was not guaranteed to work. In fact, more often than not, it doesn't work. But when it does work, these 30 or however % of the time, I actually haven't studied the probabilities in that spot, then the effect is so devastating that the game is almost decided with more than half of the remaining tiles to go. Alrighty, so Glovier 1, Complex 0. Let's see if the Mexican captain can strike back or not. Game 2 has started. I'm going to comment on the position in a second. I just want to check real quick what's been going on in the other matches. Well, these guys are still playing, I think. Let me just do a refresh. I don't think I need to do this, but just in case. Yeah, so actually no other games have been finished. The scores that you see here, by the way, are not the current scores. These are... Wait. This is the previous history of these players before this match. Wow, they're playing really, really fast. So I'm going to start to make sense of this position real soon. So what we're having, this actually looks really good for yellow here. So Glovier is looking at a clean sweep, perhaps. The reason why it looks so good is because he's 3 points ahead on the scoreboard. He's the starting player again, and so he's going to have the advantage in the end game. He has the first crack at the field, which looks like a field with a lot of potential. At least now he makes one move, which I just don't agree with, but whatevs. Isn't that interesting? So both players are making this board very monastery dependent. Elias is setting up a 6-point monastery over here, and Glovier is looking to do something like this, but he already has a monastery extra, and that's why I like yellow's position so much. In the meantime, there are some other threats in the other part of the board. This city here from yellow looks vulnerable at first sight, but it really isn't. There isn't any one-move sequence or one-move punch that red could deliver to knock out this city. I guess the worst that can happen is just red going over here and invading that city, but we can live with this from the Portuguese player's perspective. And Elias really working hard on that setup. Look at this. He really, really wants to go here for the monastery, and Glovier is also setting up the monastery, but I think this actually is a bit extra. I think this is an exception here because the Portuguese player is looking, I think, to extract a bit too much from this position. Because if you're Glovier, and if you get a monastery, you're actually looking to place it over here to just help your opponent, whatever, but you need to take out this dangerous spot. And so if he were to place this curve over here, he would have, by the way, already finished both of his monasteries with a simple straight line. Okay, let me just try and make a full board again. Yeah, so Elias invades on the right, making this city way, way, way less dangerous. And now red is looking not that bad at all. Red's ahead on the scoreboard. Red has a monastery set up just as yellow. Yellow city has been broken, and all as a result of this mistake. And I think yellow is now playing way, way, way too fast. Elias with an excellent move, making it easier for Glovier to finish his 2 monasteries, but at least knocking out the other monastery setup. But yeah, this was an instructive position, actually. Because, you know, like, most of the time you want to set up monasteries next to your monasteries, but there are always exceptions to every rule in Carcassonne. You typically want to set up monastery spots next to your monasteries if there are no good other monastery spots on the board. And also, like, there are many factors to consider. And it seems to me that the Portuguese youngster is still playing this one by intuition. So their position now is not as good. And again, all as a result of this curvy move. Also, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but this curvy move also helped Red break the city of Yellow and score 3 points extra. So if Glovier loses this, we know where the game decisive mistake was. That one, that curve, will come and haunt him in his sleep. Still, he hasn't lost. His position is still decent. All he needs to do is get a vanilla city cap, get a couple meeples back, maybe go over here, do some nasty blocking, maybe finish his road, maybe get a straight line, and go over here. So plenty of things to play for. Glovier could actually now go over here, which he doesn't. And he could, in theory, play against this guy's city. But he doesn't, and that's fine. Actually, no, that's not fine. I think that's another miss. From Glovier's perspective, he needs to realize that he's at a meeple shortage. And there's a juicy 8-point monastery spot available. So it is in Yellow's interest to turn this 8-point spot into a 9-point monastery spot, so that in the event he draws the monastery first, he can safely go over here, place his last meeple without being afraid of getting blocked, and also get a meeple back instantly. Now this is not going to happen, as Complex is going to go over here, probably finish the city, and also make this monastery spot much more dangerous. So this position actually has a lot of subtleties and really not great time management from Yellow. Oh, but look at Yellow. That was a fun setup that he just made. So first of all, he took this tile to pre-block this square, right? To make sure that it's never filled. And now he draws the splitter, splitting Red from this here city, which now is completely live. And now actually Glovier can go here or here. Yeah, he tries to finish it. Elias can't really do much. I mean, he can block a little bit, but there's still 2 daggers if you go here. What a disastrous tile for the Mexican. This is now looking for Glovier again. This is a rather lovely sequence, setting up the splitter tile, now also getting the 2 meeples back. There's still, of course, this here tile. Elias with a curve. What do? Do you block here and then try to continue and block this fully? Or do you leave this open and hope to draw a city plus road tile for an invasion? He decides that blocking is important. I actually happen to agree with him. Glovier uses his newly acquired meeple majority to get himself a farmer complex with the penultimate vanilla city cap. Probably looking to continue his blocking ideas. Something like this is not crazy. Something like this is actually not crazy as well. Instead, Elias ignores his square. He wants to go for the field, starts a new city. And his plan is to finish the city, drop in farmer. You know the drill, the biggest threat in Carcassonne. So one thing that is super tempting for Glovier is just to go here. It's just to finish the city of Red simply for the sake of using this farming platform. He's thinking about it. I'm not sure if he's going to do it, but this is really not the worst move. He does not go for it. Instead, he starts a new city, and that's why Complex finishes his city and drops a farmer. 2 red farmers and 2 yellow farmers invested. If all of the fields get united, then all of these guys are going to be connected. Complex gets the first regular monastery, now 10 points ahead on the scoreboard, looking to also complete over here. Complex also gets a triple city tile, which is going to deny Glovier the city over here. I'm pretty sure the move is like this or something similar. Some tile calculation will be required. No, he decides to block here first. Complex now needs to make a decision. No, Glovier needs to make a decision. Do you go here and finish your road? Or do you sacrifice points and go over here and try to defend this square? As Glovier, you need to decide how important is it for you to complete the city if you want to win this game. How desperate do we need to be in trying to save it? Kind of tricky to assess the position at a glance. My first sentiment is that he can still win. But then this here defense really takes out a lot of blocking tiles. For example, I can see still 3 extenders unplayed. And this move over here would knock out those 3 extenders. And in fact, the only proper blocking tile would be, I'm not sure what, but Glovier decides to ignore that square, simply get himself a meeple back, and he's going to have his cake and eat it too. He might even, I think he could have even dropped a farmer there, really. He should have dropped a farmer, but whatevs, whatevs. It's not going to matter anymore. Glovier can do whatever he wants. It's going to be quite tough for Complex to come back. Not impossible. I think the way the Mexican win this is if he gets himself a curve of which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 are still remaining, finishes the monastery, unites all the fields, and then tries to drop a farmer somewhere. But I don't think it's going to be possible because Glovier, Glovier could just go for a 6-point monastery, but the proper move is just to go here and drop a farmer, setting up one of the many curves, or go here, which would be even better. I know that when you're ahead, you don't want to fight for the fields too hard, but I think if Elias wins the field, then Glovier is actually going to lose this game. So from Glovier's perspective, we want to make sure that it doesn't happen. I'm not sure what the score is at the moment. 19 points on the scoreboard, but they're almost compensated with the 2 unfinished monasteries of Elias. So all things being equal, Glovier has the meeple advantage, and it is his turn. He has the tempo. So monastery or farmer? Farmer. Farmer clearly is the answer, but we're going to see if he finds the move. Also, the point of farmers like this, either here or here, these are 2 pretty similar moves. Here actually might be a bit better. Yeah, he goes for the 6-pointer, which I think is a bit too cute, right? Because if he just goes over here, he's already scoring 3 points at the very least, and he's taking out the most dangerous farming platform. Okay, is he going to farm now, or is he just going to meeple here? Or maybe he's just going to do something like this. Yeah, that makes certainly more sense. Curvy tile for Elias. Well, he can finish one of his monasteries, and I think he has to. He can't drop a farmer just yet. He needs to do it a little bit later, because we desperately need meeples here. Instead, he blocks Glovier's city. But do we have the luxury of doing so? That's the question. I guess it's not about luxury. That was a serious threat. There were multiple tiles for blocking available. Another curve for Glovier should spell disaster for the Mexican player. No proper way to do anything, really. Also, so this sequence here illustrates the power of threats in Carcassonne. Just because Glovier was threatening to finish his city with the last remaining dagger, or the last remaining... No, just the last remaining dagger. Come on! Just one. No, there were no daggers. What was that move? Elias with 9 minutes on the clock. I think the Mexican gave up prematurely because look at this. That was a meaningless block. So this wasn't a threat. This was a bluff or just a move that scored points. Again, 1, 2, 3. All rose tiles are here. And 1, 2, 3 all daggers are here. Because kind of after this block, I assumed that the city was a threat, but it really wasn't. Yeah, it's definitely very, very sad miss. I think, you know what? I think Complex probably miscounted the daggers. And I think he thought that this here dagger was a left-handed dagger instead. But even then, your opponent only had a 50-50 chance of completing the city. Like, you beggars can't be choosers. You can't optimize everything. You just have to risk it at some point. João is saying he's trying to win even if he loses the field. Yeah, I get this idea. But is that going to work though? Because the field is pretty big. And I feel that Elias had already tiles to invade the field properly. That's the thing. Just because he didn't use them ain't no mean much. Red. With the last dagger tile, and no productive move really. I mean, he must go for the farm at some point, I'm gonna guess. But there are no curves remaining, that's the thing. So this monastery is not gonna be finished. This monastery is not gonna be finished. This square is now not suitable for an invasion. And this resource here was the critical way back into this game. In the meantime, Mexico gets some good news as well, as Marco Rivas defeats Mestre 77, predictably, on table 2, I believe. I don't have the scoreboard in front of me, but you see it on the screen. Let's see if anything else has finished, actually. No, only Manor against Mestre. Deism is ahead against Lychee the Killer, and everything is looking very good for Team Portugal. Even on table 5, Oscar Henny is getting defeated by Pedro Antunes. Yeah, Elias drops a city cap in what still is technically his field. It needs to be pointed out that the two fields have not yet been united. So red has a majority here, 2 versus 1. These are the farmers, and 5 completed cities are touching this field, so that's worth 15 points. And then there's a different 15-point field, which actually is never going to be connected to the main field, because here and here are already blocked squares. This is being controlled with a lone yellow farmer, the farmer which was dropped on one of the first moves in the game, and just stay there. And that one is worth 12 points. Glovier is dropping a farmer there for some reason. He must know something that I don't. Presumably he wanted to avoid something. Not sure what that was about. A couple of quick points by Elias, adding stuff to his blocked ruin. Complex gets a couple more points, and Glovier is going to finish his monastery probably. Yeah, that's a way to score 3 points, get a meeple back. Of course, he's not going to need that meeple, as there are no moves to be played. But he's going to be pretty happy about the outcome of this game. Complex is saying in the chat, thanks for the games, in Portuguese. So yeah, not a very tight duel. Interesting, a very open position, like very characteristic of Iberian Carcassonne. Just points, farmers, monasteries everywhere. Lots of green, very little blocking. This sort of thing can be sometimes fun to watch. This is when the board almost gets completed like a puzzle. 11 points win for Glovier. Elias didn't quite managed to connect to the field. I think it's really that 26-point city by Glovier in that first game that demoralized the Mexican captain. So, Mexico won, Portugal won. This was a crucial duel for the fate of the match. Now Mexico has a bit of an uphill climb. Hi, Manarori, congrats to you for your duel. We weren't able to see that because we were just so busy with Elias. Matt is suggesting that Red could have invaded the lower field from the west side. Yes, this is true. But still, that would not have been enough. So going back to this position, yeah, so like Red could have invested here, for example, with a bunch of Doritos. That actually would have been quite an easy invasion, but that would have scored him not 15 points because he would have spent his last meeple. So he would have scored 15 points more for the field invasion. He would have lost 4 points because he would not have been able to meeple that final road with his last meeple. And he would have lost 2 further points, or at least 1 further point, by adding a point to Glovier City. So he would have had 10 points more, and so he would have still lost by 1 point. So what Complex needed to do first, I think this was his crucial mistake. If only he were just to unify all the fields, then this would make sure that the stakes in the game are much higher, because the combined value of the unified field with 9 completed cities on it would be 27 points, which would force Glovier in an uncomfortable field fight, and this would really render Glovier's scoreboard lead pretty much meaningless, because as long as he loses the field, he loses the game as well. Maybe some hallucinations, miscounting, led Elias to block the square that needn't really be blocked, and the result became what it became. But we're gonna watch some other games. What I'm gonna watch? Let me see that. So Sportar won 2-0, kind of predictably. So I think I'm gonna watch IMD5 because he's the higher rated player. And he's now finishing up his second game against Foam, against Diogo Antunes. And the Portuguese player is ahead even here as well. So there's also the decider between Lychee and Deism. Maybe that actually could be interesting to watch first. So Portugal is 1 game away from clinching a victory in this match. Let me see if I can watch 2 games at the same time. That position is too complicated. Yeah, so this position is a bit more simple. And this actually looks playable for Mexico, although the advantage certainly belongs to the Portuguese side here as well. Okay, let's assess this position first. We can watch the decider a bit later. So Foam, did I call him Diego? No, he's Pedro. I think they're brothers. They're 2 players with the last name Antunes in Team Portugal. Okay, so that's an interesting position. So 11 points on the scoreboard is the lead. Then 1 monastery for Red, which is controlling a 3-point road of Black. This road could be finished together with a monastery. 2 monasteries for Black, which actually are not going to be finished. Oh, this is a very rare Sophie's Choice block, because look at this. A simple vanilla city cap is needed in this square by black and in this square by black, but there's only one vanilla city cap remaining. So the best black can do is just go here and score 9 points. That'll be 4 for the city, 3 for this farmer, and 1 for each monastery. So he's still going to have some value from the vanilla city cap. That value is just not going to be that great. Then here 2 black farmers supporting each other. And black is controlling a 15-point field here and a 16-point field here. The fields are really going to almost inevitably merge. And then this is going to create another interesting idea. IMD, if he gets the vanilla city cap closer to the end of the game, he could actually forego all these points here, and instead he could place it over here. Now what that would accomplish is that it would actually give him not 9, but 14 points. So look, here, there's this yellow farmer, a red farmer, right, with 9 points, 3 completed cities. And if a vanilla city cap goes here, it's going to merge all the farms. It's going to give black a 2 versus 1 majority. And the size of the farm is going to be increased to 21 points. Oh, and actually this guy is going to lose 9 points. So wait, so that's going to be a 17-point move potentially. Yeah, Foam actually is in dire straits. Even though he's now 14 points ahead after he deployed the crossroads for 3 points on the left, as you just saw, the threat of the city cap is pretty severe. But I mentioned one caveat. IMD going to draw the city cap close to the end of the game. Because if IMD draws the city cap too soon, this move might be too risky. While he would get the majority on a 21-point field, it would be a 2 versus 1 majority rather than a 2 versus 0 majority. And this would give the chance for the Portuguese player to re-attack the field. Maybe going over here, dropping a farmer, trying to connect through one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no remaining straight lines. But I'm sure the field is big enough for there to be other connections. Yeah, and we can see that this is the plan of IMD anyway. He's trying to just set up some nasty field connections. Quick points for IMD, also an important tile for Foam, who managed to unify his 1-point city with a gigantic ruin of black. This was also one potential source for black's victory, now making the position of the Mexican player and the entire Mexican team significantly more precarious. Hi, Glovier. Congratulations on your win. Hi, Elias. Don't beat yourself up too hard. I know that 28-point cities can be 26-point cities in the early game can be demoralizing. You just gotta brush them off and keep playing. Alrighty, so Licio Campo won the second game, which means that these guys are also headed for a decider, and this is exactly what we wanted. We're gonna have 2 deciders. Lovely. IMD with a splitter. One which Foam would have wanted way over here. The poor red guy just can't get his meeple back, and he could not get his meeple back at all because I believe this was the last tile that fit over there. So an unfortunate draw, or lack thereof rather, for Foam there. Elias is saying, would you have placed the quad city on Glovier's cap, allowing the invasion but slowing the closure? Yes. I didn't comment on that, but the threat is just so severe that you have to do it. I didn't comment on that because everything happened too fast. I just said that the 26-point city in the first game was avoidable, and this is what I meant by it. Because if not for that city, like, Red's position was completely fine. Monastery setups, early farm with a lot of potential. Well, anyway, what has been done has been done. We now need to figure out how these two players are going to deal with their endgame. Now, IMD has drawn some quick point tiles and has actually caught up on the scoreboard significantly, making life pretty hard for Foam. One thing that Pedro has is a time advantage, 4 versus 1. Earlier today in the Latvia-Taiwan match, in the deciding game between Napalm and Penguin EM, Napalm had less than 1 minute with 10 tiles remaining and finished the game with 12 seconds on his clock. So this is something that could happen in this game as well, as IMD is running short on time as well. So let me just recount the points real quick. So IMD has 15 on field, Monastery extra, Road extra 18, 25, roughly 7. Actually, the game is pretty even. Like, it's pretty even. Well, not anymore. Okay, this is a huge tile for Foam, just a gigantic tile for Foam. He gets to clean off a city cap and not allow his farmer on the left to be eaten. And it's really a question of just a couple of points. The city on the left can no longer be invaded, in case anybody's interested, like going here and hoping for a Dorito or Triple City. There's nothing of the sort in the deck. 2.5 minutes. It's kind of tight, but should be enough time to solve most endgames. If not entirely solve, at the very least know all the tiles and points. Under 2 minutes in Foam's clock. He just cleans off the city cap, which I think is what he should do. Like, players are within a point or something, and that was so hugely important. Had he not done that, IMD would have scored 7 points by finishing a city cap in his field. Now he can only score 3, which is probably still... No, he can score 6 at the bottom. Oh, that's gonna hurt. And he's thinking still about this, which I don't think he should. Yeah, that is a painful loss for Diogo here. For Pedro, sorry. These 6 points are gonna put him over the edge. And a Monastery, just violent draw in the last couple moves. By the way, if Foam were to draw the Monastery, at the very least he could have like scored 5 points here. Yeah, Foam gets a curve, nothing much he can do with that. Scores 0 points. Really, it's just 0, and that's gonna be it. So IMD is going to equalize, and these two guys are going to be headed for a decider, I think. Wait, or is this the decider already? I don't remember. No, these guys are headed into the decider. And D-ism and Leechy the Killer, what are these guys doing? They have 8 tiles left. So the fate of the match might be decided right there. If D-ism wins this one, he is going to get Portugal the victory. And it looks like a good position for... Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. Let's just see how the points are counted in this one. Super close until the very end. And despite the crucial Vanilla City cap being drawn by red, IMD with a couple of further quick tiles, the Rose and the Road Monastery, is going to make it so that IMD is going to take this down. Yeah, I have neglected actually these 3 points here. Kind of forgot about this inconsequential farmer. So in the end, it's going to be a bit closer. 3-point difference only. Yeah, rough. Alrighty, so we will be watching this decider soon enough. Let's just see how Deism fares against Lychee. Well, thank you, João, for counting the points. I don't like doing that at all. This is probably my biggest weakness. So it's good to have viewers who can help out. Alrighty, so Licio Campos had 2 points on the scoreboard. He also has this ruin over here for 6, which matches the little field of Deism for 6. He also has the extra monastery here for 8, which almost equals this field by Deism. Oh, but then this road is pretty long. But then, after Yellow places his last farmer over here at the top, trying to thwart the invasion of Lychee, Lychee just gets an easy 8-point move, presumably going over here, presumably scoring 8 points, unless there's something better. I don't think there is. And then also with the 8-pointer over here, there are actually some sneaky ideas of going into the farm like this and like this. And with 7.5 minutes on his clock, that's more than enough time to figure that out. With only 4 tiles remaining unseen to black, I actually like that he doesn't take the 8 points instantly for that city. This probably is still the move, but I like his approach because, as I've said many times, the end game is fundamentally different to other parts of the game. Very often you have to make counterintuitive moves. You have to make moves which are anti-positional, because at the end it's just a simple math, like you go here, I go here, you go here, I go here. And with only 24 possibilities of how the tiles could come out at this stage of the game, 7 minutes are really enough to just go through all of them, one by one. Six minutes and 40 seconds. Wait, why am I saying this like it's something dramatic? I mean, he has loads of time. We just gotta wait. So let me open another tab with IMD's Decider, which started 3 minutes ago. Yeah, so he decided that the city is not good enough? Really? Well, he is gonna get burned, no? Yeah. He's gonna get blocked very, very easily. Like, all that Deism needs to do is just go here, right? Just go here, man. Just go here. Okay, straight line for Lychee. He can go here. But he's scoring so fewer points. Yeah, and also, I mean, Lychee could have just won. Like, he could have just tried to do something like this. I mean, Deism just gonna get his road back. get an extra point, enlarge his field. I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, let's see what the remaining tiles are. I just want to spend a little bit on analyzing, and a 5-point monastery is going to be scored. And it looks like the Portuguese player will prevail here, giving the victory to his entire team. But let's just see what the score is, because I'm so curious to check what was the correct endgame. Ooh. Yeah. Only 6 points difference, which means 3-point difference. Yeah, there's the farmer at the bottom, which means that sadly, we just witnessed a massive throw. And again, what is it this week? Another player falls victim to the I can't lose the field syndrome. So look at this. With 7 minutes on the clock, you can just make a normal move that any other player would make. Just go here, take 8 points. Admittedly, these are not 8 points, it's a bit less. So if you go here, you take 5. This guy took 3. So this means that he took 2 less, right? So he could have taken 2 more. Then with a straight line, after you've done this, you can actually have your pick. You can, then you can just drop a 3-point farmer here to not allow deism to finish his road with the monastery. And that was also an option. Although I'm not sure if that would have worked. In any case, that would have been like a 50-50 way to win the game. With the road monastery still remaining, there are just so many ways to win the game with a 50-50. Also, like a road monastery goes here for 7 points. Okay, let's keep thinking. So he would have had 2 more. Then if he just like makes normal moves with this straight line, he could go here for 3 more. So that would be 5 more for him. Yeah, and then on the last move, same thing. So he would have won the game just by making normal, regular human moves. Just score the city and just take the point here. Yeah, very sad to witness a throw like this. And certainly something that will come up in Mexico's team practice. But hey, congratulations to Team Portugal for the win. Inducing an opponent's mistake also counts. This move was very good by deism, scaring his opponents into submission. And it is what it is. So we'll still be watching the last game. It will be important for the tiebreakers. It is going to be important for the tiebreakers, but Portugal is going to have it. Wait. Where's the other tab? So Foam and IMD are playing for the tiebreakers. Alrighty. So Kirillov is already ahead in math. I know. Everybody is very fast, which is great. It's always helpful to have viewers who count fast. You know, like points and tile counting isn't really my main strength, and also it really isn't the main part of the game. It's a necessary part of the game, but the game is about pattern recognition, about spatial vision and stuff like this, assessing positions, long-term planning, so all that stuff. Counting points, it's boring. It's necessary but boring, just like many things in life. So what are we doing here? A really interesting position, very tense, very dagger dependent. IMD starting a new city dangerously rather. Foam is going to probably put a bit of pressure on that. Or maybe to go here. Okay, that's a mistake. There isn't really a good reason to unify these two cities. Normally, I like to connect rather than block in order to avoid variance, but if he only were to turn this tile like this, then he would have an open city here as opposed to his opponent's restricted city. Moreover, if he were only to get a straight line or something, then he would make IMD need the same type of dagger in two places. So I think a missed opportunity to squeeze some further value out of his opponents. Red gets the first farmer of the game, which actually is a decent farmer, anticipating this dagger over here, which is going to enlarge the farm quite a bit. This city cap is going to be completed, this city might be completed, this city is going to be shared, and so on and so on. But so far, this guy, kind of dangerous. IMD with a great anticipation move, not allowing Foam to go over here and finish this here monastery and start a new city. Now, black is likely to build around this square, and red will be the one who will force to chase the city around. IMD with an extender. Not many great options. Maybe it's not bad to actually just go here and spend your last meeple. Because technically you can get a meeple back soon by completing the sloop with a crossroads or a curve or a curvoid. This here would be the constant move. Instead, we just see a discard, which is also completely understandable. It's a rather clunky tile. Road Monastery for IMD. Probably looking to just take 2 points, really. This is not the position to spend your last meeple. A last meeple is important for quick points and also to get the road points in case you get the dagger. Score for the city cap, many things. Glovier is saying blocking is what's psychologically better. That kind of depends against whom you're playing. A very nice move here from DM. IMD, not allowing Pedro to complete a city which actually would have been close to devastating, really. That 6-point city would have been very painful, especially on Red's field. But Red with a lovely tile here, prolonging Black City and finishing his monastery, but really disrupting Black City in the process. Foam is looking to start a new city or block, but I'm not a huge fan of this move. I would have preferred to just go over here and start a new city like this and mount the pressure and try to threaten the city at the top soon enough, because this block over here is not a real block. In fact, if anything, it's a defense, if you ask me. There are still 2 tiles that fit over here, and after IMD draws them, it's not impossible for him to even finish the city over here. So Foam continues threatening the city at the top. IMD takes 4 points and is ahead on the scoreboard for the first time. Foam gets a city cap, and he's looking to maybe finish the city here, or maybe go over here, or here, or here, and try to threaten the completion of the city at the top, or maybe take the 3 points like this for the road, expanding his field a lot, because he's controlling it with one farmer over here and potentially another farmer over here. And then this would give him a lot of green squares and multiple city cap, including this one, which is already meepled in his own field. He just makes a normal move, gets himself a meeple back, reasserts his dominance on the scoreboard, and IMD now decides to make a dubious move, which I don't like. But hey, why not take some risks? It's certainly the content play. Foam tries to finish the city. IMD needs to do something about that city ASAP. So this is a decent move. It tries to take care of that city here. But with 3 times... Actually, no, it's a decent move. Yeah. Foam is going to try prevent this, right? Or maybe he's going to try and go here and prevent this. No, he won't. Yeah, that's a strong move. IMD now struggling. He probably needs to do something like this, although that's really painful to do. Yeah, this is... Okay, now I can understand why intuitively I didn't like that move. Because it looks like you have 5 tiles remaining. But your opponent is going to try blocking something. And you might defend. But after you defend, then this here position, it's a bit vulnerable. IMD still might succeed. But he has been using a lot of valuable tiles just for defense. A monastery is about to get discarded. A curve is used for foam for scoring at the bottom. This is looking even better for Portugal. On the bright side, to try to think on the bright side if you're a Mexican fan, if Pedro wins this, then you don't have to feel so bad about Lychee's throw or about the 26-point city in the Elias's game. Yeah, because I kind of feel that when a team, especially my team, loses 3-2, then every player who loses feels personally responsible for the loss. But when it's 1-4, and especially when it's 0-5, it's like, Huacoma is asking, what software do you use to draw on the screen? Wait, should I say that actually? Should I say that? Oh yeah, it's free software. Yeah, well, there shouldn't be any problem. It's Epic Pen. It also has like a paid version, but it's for way fancier drawings. But there are many pieces of software that do this. Content move incoming. Super risky connections from IMD, but I love it. So check this out. Foam could, in theory, have drawn a city cap and invaded over here, but he can't, because he got the wrong city cap. So probably what he needs to do is something over here. Just finish this shared city, get out of harm's way. Although this is a move which scores better. And wow. Both players are playing with fire. I love it. I love it. IMD finishes him on the he's ahead on the scoreboard. Red is having a blast with the field. Black has a ruin for 6 points over here. He's threatening some stuff over here. IMD gets a city tile and he can do some crazy things. So a normal move would be taking 2 points or something. He could also go here and try to hope for the back-to-back Splitter and Road Dorito and take over the city, except that there's no Road Dorito. But there is this guy over here, which he already needs in this place. But in theory, if you go here, you might get a Splitter here, a triple city here, some sort of city cap here, and then another triple city over here, which still exists. This thinking, of course, is way too wishful. And a standard move, yeah, that's an interesting option. I thought he'd do something like this, like drop a farmer or something, and try to fight for the field here. that would have been reasonable with 2 monasteries still in the deck, actually. It honestly looks like the move that it might be better than this 8-point city. Because the field is at least 9 points, probably even more. Yeah, here's the monastery incoming, called it. He gets the monastery, of course, but he does not get the field invasion, so a big difference. Another interesting move, I think, would have been to try and go for this 8-point city. Oh, there we go! IMD's gamble pays off. He gets 12 points for the city and a meeple back. Foam with a lot of huge fields. A lot behind on the scoreboard. Glovier is saying, yes, so losing for more is better for team morale. Yes. Honestly, my most painful personal losses have been when my team lost 3-2. And there's a particular one which has been so gut-wrenching that I'm definitely making a video about it after the WTCOC is over. Oscar is trying to unify all the fields of Pedro. This is just to make sure that this city is not being scored for twice. But Foam can go right back at him, just over here, meepling a new city and eating up this 3-point farmer. So that would be a 6-point move by Red. But one thing that Red needs to think about, he needs to think about whether Black has any shot at overtaking his field over here, and it doesn't seem so. Wait. Oh, no vanilla city cap. If only there were a vanilla city cap, he could have gone over here and dropped a farmer like this for an unblockable field invasion like this, but there are no vanilla city caps. All 5 of them are on the board. Is there something else? No, there are no Doritos, no splitters. It ain't gonna work. Actually, IMD can still just go here, clean off the city cap. It's 1 point. 1 point beats 0. Of course, to be precise here, he has to know the last remaining tile. And that one I cannot tell you. I could with enough time. Maybe some of y'all have figured this out already. Well, I don't see the quadruple city tile. I'm not sure if it was discarded or if it actually is still in the deck. I think we can figure this out. Yes, it was discarded because Foam was the starting player. But IMD will be placing the last tile. Okay, we figured this out. So the quadruple city tile was discarded earlier in the game. Also about the quadruple city tile, my teammate Giannis, who delivered the decisive point against Team Taiwan today, he thinks that for consistency, if all the big tiles have animal names, so if the triple city without the field with the fields is cow and with the road is horse, then the quadruple city should be a whale. And yeah, from now on I'm calling it a whale tile. So a city cap cleanup is the move that Oscar opts for. Foam complete his 8-point city. So that's nice for him. Also drops a 3-point farmer for a net 8-point gain. A monastery for IMD for 5 points. And I'm not sure who won. Like, IMD had the scoreboard, but Foam has so much going on the field that I don't know. I see you're typing something in the chat. I'm not even going to look at it. So 3 points for the unfinished city on the left, which, by the way, could have yielded way more points if only IMD were to invade the field over here. I think that was the time. That was the time. Alrighty, so 15 points only for the field on the right, which looks like it's not enough. Ah! Ooh, yeesh! 1 point win. What an interesting game. I told you it felt close. So I feel like it all came down to the final coin flip, right? So look at this. Foam got 8 points for this here tile, right? IMD got 5 points for the monastery, so he got 3 extra. If the tiles would have been reversed, then Foam would have gotten the 5 points for the monastery, and IMD would have gotten 4 points for the city. So then IMD would have won the game by... No, actually, why? Oh, wait, IMD won the game. Wait. Oh, yeah. IMD won the game anyway. Yeah, what am I talking about? There was just no way. There's just nothing that Foam can do. Yeah, really nothing. And also it felt like Red was just making the highest scoring moves in like the last 4 or 5 moves of the endgame. So Oscar must have had it under control. Well, isn't that interesting? Elias is suggesting, I like whale more than elephant. I think it fits the spirit of the tile a little bit better, although elephant is a land mammal. But also, it's not one which would occur in the outskirts of Carcassonne. Whereas cows and horses and butterflies and whatnot probably are there. Glovier is saying, so the risky city attack was correct from IMD. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe the thing with that city cap, like imagine if just Foam gets the divider and scores 7 points over here, and the outcome of the game is completely different. Yeah, so this was a crucial tile as well. Yeah, that's interesting. But okay, I felt like the last game was sort of finished on a good note. It was a high-level game, although because I'm D1, this has to be much more painful for the Mexicans, because the game between Lychee and DSM was indeed the decider for the entire match. So yeah, tough life for Team Mexico, but you know what? If we just look at the score or at the tournament standings real quick. Wait, let me just scoreboard first. Yeah, there we go. If you look at the tournament standings real quick, then you can see that Mexico has a pretty decent tiebreaker because they lost a close match against Romania. Now they lost a close match against Portugal. So if they do somehow win against Ukraine, which I'm not sure anybody can do at this point, then they can qualify as the third team. Or maybe even as the second, if they try hard. So yeah, so it's going to be do or die for them against Team Ukraine. For Portugal, things are looking much better because they've had their toughest adversary already. They are going to meet a lot of resistance from Romania, but I feel like in the remaining matches, Portugal are going to be the favorite. So this is my analysis. And before we wrap up the stream, of course, a little congratulations from me to the winning team. Just a second. Need to just let my voice a little bit rest for the few seconds. The last couple of hours have been quite intense. Alrighty. So then, to congratulate Team Portugal with this spectacular win, all rise for the national anthem of Portugal. Heróis do mar, nobre povo, nação valente e imortal, levantai hoje de novo o esplendor de Portugal. Entre as brumas da memória, ó pátria, sente-se a voz dos teus segredos, a voz que há de guiar-te à vitória. As armas sobre a terra, sobre o mar. As armas pela pátria lutar. Contra os canhões marchar, marchar. Congratulations again to Team Portugal. Good luck to both teams in the future matches. And before you leave, just make sure to like this video. If you like this video, subscribe for more competitive Carcassonne content like this, and I'll see you all tomorrow for the decisive events from round 2. There's going to be multiple matches we're going to cover in one 6-round mega stream starting at 12:50 UTC. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you soon.